Good afternoon. Thank you so much for coming at such an inconvenient time, right after lunch. I guess most of you would be napping. I would be napping for sure. The title of this conference is How the Brain Cheats You, because I thought it would be interesting to discuss the topic on such a convention on science fiction, fantasy, and the like. My name is Ramón Nogueras. I've been a psychologist for 15 years, and I have worked in several fields. This is my beautiful family, and not at all the subject of an experiment of mine. And my job is a bit of a mess, because I work as a practicing psychotherapist, I work as a human resources consultant, I teach psychology at 2 different universities, and there's a topic, a certain sentence that fascinates me whenever I hear a fucking idiot like this guy telling me, I know what I saw, I was there, I know what I saw. Because, you know, as a psychologist, whenever someone tells me, I know what I saw, the right answer is, fuck no, you don't. You don't have a fucking clue of what you see. You don't have a fucking clue of what you remember. You don't know shit about the world outside your brain. Why? Well, this guy is Steven Novella. He's a very, very preeminent neuroscientist, and he sums up better than I could. When you tell me that you know what you saw, what you are telling me is the distorted memory of a distorted perception, all running across a story that your brain is trying to maintain. In this conference, we will discuss some of these effects, and I intend to show you that many of the explanations that science fiction and fantasy use to create compelling scenarios in which the main character has his mind altered in some way are not necessary at all, because our brain is always cheating on us. So there are plenty of examples of the mind being deceived. For example, Matrix, in which protagonists are supposed to be living in a virtual simulation, okay? They plug a wire in their brains and they go all, oh, now I'm cool and I know Kung Fu and whatever. Then there are more examples, please, like Total Recall with the greatest man alive, okay? In which the protagonist has all his life rewritten, all his memories rewritten, so he forgets about his past life. And even more, we can move on to Strange Days, this beautiful science fiction film in which the protagonist trades in memories, and he can sell you the experience of another person, so you will be able to review it like you were the person living the situation. Or for example, another classic, Blade Runner, in which mind is so easy to manipulate, memories are so easy to create, that even a robot, this is a spoiler, but if you haven't seen the movie yet, please fuck off. A robot believes she's human because his memories have been created, okay? And I'm telling you, we don't need any of this bullshit. We don't need sophisticated science, incredible technologies, virtual reality connections, because the brain is always looking for new ways of deceiving us. Moving on. This is P.T. Barnum. This is the author of the phrase, one idiot is born every minute. He was super right. And he was the first on showing a common effect affecting our beliefs. And this effect was codified by a psychologist called Forer, please, Bertram Forer, who made a curious experiment. If you see this list of sentences, this list of phrases, Forer, who was teaching at the time a psychology course, showed this list of sentences to his students. He gave a copy of this list to each student, telling them it was the result of a personality test. And he asked his students to rate how accurately these sentences described them, from 0 to 5. How do you think it went? Which score did you think the students of Forer assigned these sentences on how well it described them? 4.26 to be correct. Now, if you realize a thing about these sentences is that they are completely contradictory. For example, you say, you are disciplined and self-controlled, but you are worrisome and insecure. You prefer a certain amount of change and variety, but on the other side, you need to have constant regulations. At times you are extroverted, other times you are introverted. None of these sentences mean shit. Nothing at all. But people take the part of the sentence they like and they apply it to themselves. The brain takes what it wants and discards the rest. And this is called the Forer effect. And this is the basis for horoscopes. The tendency of our brain to filter information and get only the part that it likes and discard the rest. So much people, many people, most people would say, this is an accurate description of myself. But in fact, this description could be applied to anyone because it means nothing. Everyone is extroverted at times. Everyone is introverted at times. Everyone likes change, but everyone likes routine. Everyone feels insecure about their aspirations, but sometimes your aspirations look realistic to you. But the brain doesn't make a syntactical analysis. The brain doesn't make a reality check. The brain grabs the bullshit and eats it and tells you, give me more. I want more bullshit in my life. Okay? Not only that, we don't only have irrational beliefs about ourselves, we have irrational beliefs about the environment. For example, look at this fucking dog, okay? This is a real piece of a newspaper, okay, in which the owner of a dog said that the dog was able to guess the numbers of the lottery, okay? There have been lots and lots of cases of animals that were supposedly able to divine this kind of stuff. And there's one especially interesting case, which is JT, the psychic dog. JT was the dog who had the most amazing capability. Apparently, the dog was able to know when its mistress, was coming home. Okay, so for example, if you were the owner of the dog, you would go out on an errand, and the dog would be around doing its dog stuff, okay? But when you decided to come back home, the dog would be like, whoa, I feel a disturbance in the force. And he would move to a window to wait for you, wagging its tail, okay? And I guess masturbating with joy. He waits for the mistress in the window. He waits until she arrives. So there's this psychologist called Richard Wiseman, which is a personal hero of mine, okay? He's a psychologist, he's a magician, and he's a skeptical extraordinaire. And he decided to review if this dog had apparently psychic powers, okay? So he went to JT's house and he said to the owner, okay, what about we go out, you and me, and we come back at a random time. I don't know when we are coming back, you don't know when we are coming back, so there's no possibility of, telling the dog, okay? And on the other hand, one of my collaborators will be at your home recording with the camera the window, so we can see when the dog starts getting nervous and moving to the window. And what happened? JT was by the window when she returned. At the moment, Richard Wiseman and the owner of the dog decided to return, the dog was by the window. Also, the dog was the rest of the fucking time too, because the dog was a big fan of the window. The dog was very fond of being by the window. Now, what happens here? The owner of the dog notices this, and his brain catches a pattern. Whenever I arrive, the dog is waiting for me. And she creates an explanation. Okay, the dog must be a Jedi. And then she discards all the information contradicting this because she likes her bullshit hot and sweaty. And the brain erases all the times the dog was by the window without no one coming home because, come on, my story is much cooler than reality. So, the dog went 13 fucking windows to the 30 fucking times to the window, sorry. On a second trial, the dog moved to the window 12 times. Of course, the dog was by the window when she returned. The dog spent his days by the window. But it was no psychic. The brain of the dog's owner was creating such a coincidence. And this is due to a phenomenon called confirmation bias. Confirmation bias. Confirmation bias means simply that when we have an opinion, when we have an idea about a situation, we tend to look for the evidence that confirms our opinion, and we reject or discard the evidence that contradicts are positions. That's, for example, what happens when you watch a soccer match. If you're looking at the Madrid-Barça, for example, and there's controversial play, okay, maybe some of the players kick the other player's face, you will see that the fans of the Madrid and the fans of the Barça are looking at completely different matches. Because the Madrid fans will be looking only at the parts of the match that favor the team. And if a Madrid player, I don't know, kicks a Barca's player face, the Madrid fan will say, he's cheating, he's pretending. That was nothing, actually. And the Barca's fan will be grabbing that and confirming that Madrid players are bullies and saying, oh, okay, I'm not paying any attention to whenever occasion in which a Barca player kicks another player balls, okay? That's of no concern. Move on. Thank you. Leon Festinger, one of the biggest social psychologists in all time, said that a man with a conviction, there's been some kind of mistake, the slide was not like that, okay? It's very hard to persuade, because if you present evidence, he will reject the evidence. If you try to show logic, he will not use logic. He will grow further apart from you, the more evidence you show him. And this is due to a phenomenon called cognitive dissonance, okay? You see Leon Festinger looking like a James Bond villain, okay? And cognitive dissonance explains why it's very hard to change a conviction, okay? For example, cognitive dissonance could be summed up like this. You have some ideas that contradict one another. For example, my dog has not powers, so I am a fucking idiot for believing that my dog has powers. This creates a feeling of anxiety. That's called cognitive dissonance, okay? The feeling of being uncomfortable because of having two contradicting ideas. Then, this creates a drive to reduce dissonance, to do something to solve the contradiction. The most classic example is smoking, okay? When you are a smoker, you have two ideas in your mind that clash at each other. On one side, you have this idea. Smoking is terrible for health. On the other hand, if you are a smoker, you have this other idea. I am paying money to smoke. What is the conclusion of paying money to do something that is so bad for your health? That you are a fucking moron. Of course, no one likes to think of themselves that you are a moron. So this creates dissonance, and you try to reduce dissonance doing something. But see, the brain is deceiving you. The brain is cheating on you. The brain is looking for some way of not seeing reality as it is. And there are several ways of solving your dissonance. For example, please, you can change your behavior. If you are a smoker, you think smoking is bad. If you quit smoking, then problem solved. How well does that work? Not so much. Then you can use another kind of strategies, like, for example, rationalize, okay? Well, you can concoct some sort of excuse, like, for example, well, my grandfather smoked and drank alcohol, and he lived 99 years old, and he was healthy as an ox, and smoking had nothing to do with him dying because a truck rolled over him. That's a rationalization, okay? But it serves the purpose of making you feel less bad about you having contradictory ideas. You can also reject evidence, okay? If I show you studies saying that homeopathy doesn't work, and if you believe that homeopathy works, you can say, okay, but those studies are false because pharmaceutical companies are doctoring these studies because they want to deny that homeopathy works and blah, 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 blah. This is usually said by people with no scientific training whatsoever, of course, okay? This is a way of saying, basically, the devil made you say that, but you prefer to reject evidence that you are wrong before admitting your mistake. And finally, you can try to convert another person to your cause. For example, when you don't smoke and you are in company of smokers, this is less frequent, but when I was younger, okay, I was the only one who didn't smoke, okay? And it was curious because everyone and his fucking dog tried to get me to smoke. Everyone. You want a cigarette? No, I don't smoke, thank you. But you don't want a cigarette? No, I don't. Please, smoke a cigarette. No, I don't fucking want a cigarette. Leave me alone. No, no, please, would you smoke, please? Why? Easy. If everyone is doing the same as I'm doing, then I cannot be wrong, okay? If I'm wearing a ridiculous hat and everyone is wearing a ridiculous hat, then the hat is not ridiculous anymore. And this is another way in which our brain tries to compensate the contradiction and cheats us into believing something that is false, okay? If many people do the same that you are doing, then you cannot be retarded, even if you are. Even if you are. Okay, but this is the most basic. And why? Why the brain does this? The brain should be keen on analyzing information. The brain should be keen on giving us an accurate description of the world. Well, for starters, our brain is fucking lazy. This is my cat, Jiggly, which is pretty fucking lazy, okay? And our brain is like the cat. The brain doesn't like to work if it doesn't have to, okay? Being rational, logical is a lot of work. The brain doesn't like that. So the brain also tries to filter all the information that can make us feel uncomfortable. Sometimes it will hide information. It will hide information from us completely, so we will forget about things that are uncomfortable to us. We will get back to memory in a few minutes, and it's going to be quite shocking. And then, at the end of the day, the brain tries to protect us, tries to protect our self-image, our self-esteem. So instead of, for example, if I smoke, my brain having ideas like, my God, you are a stupid junkie. You are paying a lot of money to give yourself cancer. The brain tries to protect our image, saying, okay, no, you are not so bad, okay? You are smoking, but you can quit anytime you want, and everyone is smoking anyway, and my grandfather lived to 99 years and he smoked a lot, and whatever, before admitting truth. Of course, our perception is also imperfect. We don't see the world as it is, and it's quite easy to cheat the brain into seeing things that they are not here. Do you know what this is? What is that? This is a fucking ink blob. What the fuck do you think it is? But it's the basis of a psychoanalytic test, personality test, the Rorschach test. Supposedly, according to the figures you saw on the ink blob, you had a different kind of personality or other, or you were probably insane in one way or another, because one of the great things of psychoanalysis is that you are always sick, no matter what. Okay, because there's a lot of money of earning if everyone's sick. Science, psychology, has proved conclusively that there's no fucking relationship between seeing... What do you see here? What do you see? A forest? What else? Mickey Mouse, a well-hung guy. Wow, you're weird. It doesn't matter. Whatever you see is not there. It's a phenomenon called pareidolia. Pareidolia is what happens when, for example, you are looking at a cloud and you see that cloud looks like a dog. Of course it doesn't look like a dog, you moron. But your brain tries to make sense of the image. So the brain changes the perception of the image so it will look more like a dog. You can trust your eyes. You can trust your ears. You can trust what you're seeing or hearing or whatever. Is there a triangle there? Is there a triangle? Yes or not? No, but you are seeing it. There's no triangle there. This is the Canizza triangle. It's a classic perceptual illusion. There's no triangle there, but you are seeing a white triangle. So you can trust your eyes. When you say, I know what I saw, no, you don't. Magicians do this all the time, okay? They deceive your senses. They drive your attention away, so you won't see what they don't want you to see. And it gets even better. This is Mr. Ramachandran. This is one of the greatest neuroscientists alive. And the experiment I'm going to describe is one so shocking that probably it will make you doubt of all your perceptions from now on, because basically Mr. Ramachandran, maybe because he's from India, found a cheap way of making you feel that a rubber arm is your arm and to have sensations in a prosthetic arm. Please, if you will. Look at this. If you pay attention, you will see that the experimental subject is covering his arm with a towel. The real arm is the one in the left of the image, okay? This other arm, here in the right, is a rubber arm, okay? It looks like an arm, but it's plastic, okay? Now, in the second picture, you will see how the experiment is conducted. We set a piece of wood between the two arms, so the subject won't see his own arm, okay? The subject only sees the plastic arm. Are you following me this far? Okay, head upside down means yes, side to side means no, okay? The psychologist conducting the experiment will take both brushes, you see the brushes here, and will start gently stroking both hands, the real hand and the rubber hand, okay? After a minute of stroking, what do you think it happens? Well, two things. On one hand, the experimental subject reports having sensations in the rubber arm, in the plastic arm. And on the other hand, the real arm loses blood flow. The brain starts disconnecting the other arm because the brain feels that that arm is not it. So it will try to drive blood flow to the plastic arm, and the person will say, hey, I feel how you are stroking this arm. But how can you feel that? The arm is a fucking piece of plastic, but he's feeling the sensation because the eyes are seeing the brush, and he doesn't see the real arm. So the brain says, okay, this is my arm, but it's plastic, but I'm feeling sensations on it. But it's plastic, but I'm feeling sensations on it. And this can be done with less than $5 of equipment. You don't need virtual reality. You don't need brain plugs. You don't need memory chips. You see how easy it is to deceive the brain? This experiment can be done at any time, but it gets better. In this experiment, we use virtual reality glasses. We spend a bit more money to create the following illusion. We set a camera about 1 meter behind the participant, okay? You see the camera on the left? And we project that image on the glasses. So when you put on the glasses, you are looking at your own back. Is that clear? Then, using a graphic program, we project the image of a small piece of wood gently stroking the back of the figure in front of us, which is our own back, okay? Then, at the same time, a scientist, a psychologist, will get behind. Please, would you come here? Okay, try to imagine she's the participant, stand like this, and she's wearing the glasses. She is seeing her own back, okay? And then I sneak up behind her, and with a marker, I start doing this. And she, at the same time, is watching her own back and a piece of wood doing this, okay? Thank you. What do you think it happens? After a minute or so, the participants report that they believe that they are looking at their own body and they feel that they are doing some sort of astral travel, and they report that they feel that their body is not their own, and they report feeling how they exit their own body. So feeble, the perception is that it can be modified so easily. The moment we have visual information that is difficult to explain, our brain will do anything to explain it, even resulting to, for example, telling you, okay, this arm is plastic, but you are having sensation on it, or that back you are seeing is your body, but you are watching it from outside your body. So you can trust your eyes, you can trust your senses, you can trust anything you see. And we, again, don't need sophisticated explanations. This guy was a professor of criminology in Austria at the end of the 19th century, Professor von Liszt. He conducted a very curious experiment destined to determine that eyewitnesses are not reliable because we don't remember what we saw. And the experiment was very easy. Try please to imagine a university classroom, okay, which is a bit like an amphitheater, okay, so the professor is down in the middle and students are all around the professor, okay? You have the image? Okay. This guy is teaching a class, and then one of the students, all of a sudden, stands up and starts insulting him and saying harsh things to him, okay, like he's a terrible professor, his theories are all lies, and whatever. Then another student gets up and tries to defend the professor. The argument heats up, they start exchanging harsher and harsher words, they start exchanging punches, and at one moment, one of the students pulls out a gun and shoots the other dead. The other student falls down to the ground, and then immediately the professor claps, and then both students, the dead one and the live one, get up, they make a curtsy, and they step out of the classroom. And then the professor asks the students present in the classroom what had just happened. How many details do you think the students were able to remember about the situation they just saw? They were not able to determine or remember how the clothes of the murderer were, height, weight, complexion, physical aspect, clothing, whatever. They only remembered the gun. They actually were not able to remember who pulled the gun, because the attention in this kind of danger situation tends to focus on the weapon, on the danger source. So you had 100 persons witnessing a murder, and no one, not a single one, was able to remember what had just happened. Not a single one. And it had happened just a minute before. So when you tell me, oh yes, of course, I remember it perfectly, I know you are bullshitting. Because you don't. Actually, memories are so easy to manipulate, you wouldn't believe it, okay? This is another interesting phenomenon called change blindness. Have you ever watched a YouTube clip in which there's a bunch of people playing basketball, okay? A white team and a black team, and they ask you to count how many times the white players pass the ball, and they have to be paying attention to the white players, and then a guy dressed as a gorilla comes in the video, he does something like this, and he walks away. And 2 out of 3 persons don't see the gorilla. They ask you, did you see anything unusual? No. Just they were passing the ball, that's all. Did you not see the guy with the fucking gorilla suit waving? No, not at all. But there's an even more egregious case of change blindness, which is just the brain adjusting to a sudden change, rejecting the change. Please, if you will, look at this picture. You see, this woman is the experimental subject, okay? She doesn't know what's happening. This guy is asking for directions. And you see these 2 guys who are bringing a big wooden piece. Please, pay attention to the guy on the left. You see that the guy has a paper like the other guy has in the hand? For a moment, these 2 guys will stop in front of the girl, so the girl won't be able to see what's happening behind the screen. And then the guy asking for directions will switch places with the guy on the left. And they will go, so the girl, instead of being talking to the guy on the right, she will be talking to this guy. How many people do you think didn't notice the change? How many people? 87% kept talking to the new person like they were talking to him before the change. So try to imagine, for example, I'm talking to this girl here, and then 2 girls with a wooden piece come, they interrupt my visual to her, and then all of a sudden, I have this girl in front of me, and I'm talking to her like nothing happened, because my brain won't let me know that something has changed. How can you tell me that you know what you saw if you are unable to detect? Most of you are unable to detect what has just happened in front of your faces. It's not very reliable, your perception, isn't it? And to end, I would like to talk about memories. I chose this picture because it belongs to a classical experiment which I love, and that has been repeated and has been replicated in a lot of occasions. It's very simple. Let's imagine that, for example, this guy, your name is? Klaus. Very good, Klaus. Let's imagine that I ask Klaus to participate in a memory experiment, okay? And I ask Klaus to bring some pictures of him with his father and his mother from the time when he was a child, okay? So he is a very nice man, and he brings the pictures. Now, me and my team Photoshop one of the pictures, so Klaus and his family are now in a balloon, okay? Klaus has never traveled in a balloon with his family, never, okay? Then, a few days later, we bring Klaus to the laboratory, and we show him a lot of actual, real pictures, okay? And we slip the false picture, and we ask him, okay, Klaus, what can you tell us about this picture? And about this? And about this? Okay. Klaus looks at the balloon, and he says, okay, this is weird. I don't remember this. Okay, don't worry, Klaus, don't worry. Then a week later, we bring him again, and we show him another set of real pictures and the false picture. And then Klaus tells us about this picture, what happened, about this picture, what happened, about this picture, what happened, and then we show him the false picture. And he's a bit confused, because he still doesn't remember. And a week later, we bring Klaus for the third time, and we ask him about the pictures, and we slip the false picture. 3 out of 4 persons, 75% of the subjects, created a story, and they told us everything about the day they went on a balloon trip with her father and her mother. And they told us about which weather they found, what clothes their mother was wearing, what they ate, what they did, and everything and anything. And we know for sure that that experience is false. We have fabricated that experience, but despite that, he has created a new memory. Why is that? Because every time we remember something, we make it, we are able to modify it. The mere act, the simple act of remembering something modifies it. And I have a very, very small story regarding this. When I was a student back in Granada, a bunch of friends, one afternoon, arranged to get into one's home to study. And instead of studying, they found a bottle of pacharán. They got terribly drunk, and they went into a wild drinking spree that was the subject of legends, okay? They told me the story. They told me the story so many times, I was 15, 16 at the time, that after years and years and years of listening to the story, I inserted myself on the story. And I started telling people about the day of the pacharán like I was there, because I clearly remembered that I was there. Until one day, one of the guys who was actually there told me, well, what the fuck are you saying? You were not there. You were in Ireland. What? You never were there. You were in Ireland at the time. It's impossible that you were there. And it was. But I still have the memories. I remember the house of my friend Pablo. I remember the persons who were there, because they told me the story so many fucking times that at the end my brain said, okay, fuck this shit. I was there. And I wasn't. My point is, and the point of this short speech is, you don't need, if you want to write science fiction, if you want to write fantasy, and you want to create a plot in which one character have his memory altered, one character sees something that is not there, one character believes absurd stuff, you don't need technology. You don't need high-tech implants. You don't need sorcery. You don't need magic. You don't need anything, because our brain works like shit. And if you want to take a conclusion, like the Fleetwood Mac song, our brain is always saying, tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Okay? And if we don't tell lies to the brain will tell lies to us. Okay? So, with this, my speech comes to an end. Is there any question or anything you want me to clarify for you? No? Okay then. It's been a pleasure being here with you, so thank you very much.